Welcome to the Neurokrish Immersion. We are in the Many Faces of Freedom, Season 2, and today we are exploring Ramanuja. Before he was a philosopher, Ramanuja was a young man who wept. Born in 1017 in Sri Perumbudur near Chennai, into an Orthodox Brahmin household, he grew up immersed in ritual precision and scriptural learning. He was brilliant, precociously so, and was sent to Kanchipuram to study under the respected Advaita teacher Yadava Praksha. There the tension began. One day, while massaging his guru's feet, Ramanuja heard him explain a sacred verse describing the Lord's eyes. The interpretation was grammatically sound, but aesthetically harsh, comparing the divine form to something coarse. Ramanuja began to cry, not out of sentimentality, but because, for him, God was not abstraction. God was beautiful. The divine was not a metaphysical principle. It was someone. In that tear, a philosophical revolution was already gestating. The young disciple who felt devotion wounded would one day challenge non-dualism itself. Tensions with Yadava Praksha intensified. Admiration curdled into jealousy. Tradition holds that during a northern pilgrimage, a plot was formed to eliminate the inconvenient student. Warned by his cousin Govinda, Ramanuja fled into the forest. Lost and alone, guided, as the story goes, by a mysterious hunter couple who led him back to safety, whom he later regarded as divine intervention. Already, we see the pattern of his life. Not solitary enlightenment, but relationship, protection, belonging, and grace. Ramanuja married young, but domestic incidents disturbed him deeply, including one in which his wife reportedly insulted a hungry Brahmana guest. For Ramanuja, devotion was not ritual superiority. It was humility before the divine in others. Gradually, he withdrew from householder life and embraced sannyasa. But he did not retreat into abstraction. He went to Sri Rangam, seeking the great Vaishnava teacher Ramanujacharya, only to find that he had just died. The body lay in state. 3 fingers of Ramanujacharya's hand were clenched. Ramanuja interpreted them as unfulfilled vows. He pledged, therefore, to write a definitive commentary on the Brahma Sutras, revitalize devotion to Lord Vishnu, preserve the lineage of the tradition. And when he made these vows, the fingers are said to have relaxed. Symbol or history, what matters is that Ramanuja now assumed a mantle. And here his philosophical courage emerged. He had studied Advaita deeply. He admired Adi Shankara's brilliance. But something in the doctrine troubled him, not just intellectually, but existentially. If Brahman alone is real and the world is ultimately illusory, then what becomes of devotion? He asked. If the individual self is ultimately identical with Brahman, then who loves whom? He asked. If ignorance alone causes bondage, and knowledge alone liberates, what role remains for divine grace? He asked. Gradually, he articulated what later tradition would describe as the 7 great untenables of Advaita, not as polemic but as urgent questions. He asked, if ignorance is beginningless and yet unreal, how can something unreal bind us? If Brahman is pure consciousness, how can ignorance veil it? If the world is illusion, who experiences that illusion? If individuality is ultimately false, what becomes of ethical responsibility? If liberation dissolves difference entirely, who remains to experience bliss? If knowledge alone liberates, what of devotion? If difference is unreal, why does Scripture repeatedly speak of relationship between soul and God? These were his 7 great untenables, why he rejected Advaita's centerpiece of Maya. These were not minor objections, they were relational protects. Ramanuja did not reject non-duality. He qualified it. His Visistadvaita qualified non-dualism. According to him, the soul is real, the world is real, difference is real, but all are inseparable from Brahman, like attributes of a body to its soul. The universe is the body of God. This is not dualism, nor is it strict monoism. It's relational unity. Freedom, therefore, in Ramanuja's concept, was not dissolution of identity. It was harmonious belonging. Ramanuja went on to compose the Sri Bhashya, a masterful commentary on the Brahma Sutras, establishing this vision of his with formidable intellectual rigor. But he was not merely a scholar, he was a reformer. He sought initiation into the sacred Ashtakshara mantra from his teacher Gostipurna. After 18 attempts, he was finally entrusted with it, warning that revealing it would condemn him to hell. But what did he do? He climbed the temple tower in Srirangam and shouted the mantra to everyone below. If this saves them, he is said to have declared, I am willing to go to hell. Here, philosophy becomes flesh. Freedom through belonging is not exclusive, it's expansive. He later faced persecution from the Chola king Kulotunga for refusing Shaivite conformity. He fled into exile in Karnataka for 14 years. There, he converted King Bittideva, later Vishnuvardhana, and established temples at Melukote. Institution building, community formation, ritual reordering. Ramanuja's freedom was not solitary enlightenment. It was building sacred ecosystems. Neuroscientifically, we might say that where strict Advaita emphasizes the dissolution of the narrative self, Ramanuja stabilizes identity within relationship. Human beings regulate fear through attachment. Devotion of the kind that he prescribed activates affiliative circuits, and belonging reduces existential anxiety. Ramanuja understood something subtle. Not all nervous systems seek dissolution. Some seek embrace. The Buddha shows us freedom through seeing suffering clearly. Shankara through knowing the self beyond delusion. Ramakrishna through ecstatic love. Ramana through silent inquiry. Ramanuja through belonging, soul to God, individual to community. And now, as we turn next to Vivekananda, we will see non-duality reinterpreted once again, not dissolved, not qualified, but energized. And we are, therefore, in the second season of the Neurokrish Immersion, the many faces of freedom, where we explore the great liberators of the Indian philosophical tradition. If you like what we do here, please subscribe and share. We are on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. Thank you so much.